Let's get everybody on. Hello.
Hello. You look so pretty.
Thank you. So do you.
Got up early just for you.
I like it. Okay, get everyone a chance to get on. It's weird how it does this waiting room thing. It throws me off. I feel like I got to give like an extra 5 minutes to like get everybody like into the meeting.
Internet
Okay.
situated.
Yes.
Definitely.
Turn on cameras. Feel free to talk. Say hello. We love seeing faces. Let's see. Okay. Give it a couple more minutes just to make sure no one had any issues. Let me check Facebook and make sure as well. Good morning, good morning. Can I see? Let's like do a quick check just to make sure no one last second messaged with any trouble. Okay. So I'm looking over, I see quite a few of us have gone through and filled it out on the collaboration board. So I'll pull that together for everyone to see. And I know it takes a week or sometimes two to get everybody on board. But we'll see if we have enough people for a breakout session today. Hopefully we will. Worst case, if we don't, we can try it at a different time. I will be posting in the Facebook group as well as emailing everybody. My kiddos are going back to school starting next week. Right? I'm like, woohoo! But some of the kids are starting to slowly do that across the nation. So I know that that's going to shift some changes for everybody. And one of the things it's doing for me is that the times that we have might have to shift just a little bit, just because pickup time and things like that tend to fall right at when we do like our afternoon call. So I want to get a pulse check from everybody as to what times might work. So I'm going to throw out a few options and even maybe a few different days. That way, if there are, some options that work, but maybe it works better on a Monday to be able to have more flexibility, that we can look at that too. So I'll send out kind of a little survey for you guys around the times and stuff that we've been doing everything, just to kind of see what works, because I don't want it to just work for me. I want it to also work for you guys as well, before I make that change. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that's happening. So I'll give it another 2 minutes or so to see if there's anybody else that's going to hop on. If not, what we'll do is we can just chat here, and kind of do a little breakout session, since this is usually how they work, is that there's like 3 or 4 people in a session. And again, maybe structuring the times differently will make this a little bit more fun each time that we try to do it. Because I know we did a 4 o'clock training last week, and I think there was like 8 or 10 of us. So there was able to be more people in the afternoon. So if that tends to be easier, then we can shift to do calls more at that time frame. Why don't we take a quick second and have everyone introduce themselves, and kind of what they do, in case anyone is not familiar with one another. Heather, do you want to start?
Sure. Good morning. I'm Heather Bresser. My business right now is called Heather Bresser Online because I haven't thought of a better name yet. Kind of one of those, just started a new business just before the pandemic started. And I help super busy mom business owners get really organized, with great routines, and just reminding them and giving them techniques and strategies for filling their own cup and making sure none of the balls get dropped. So that's kind of where I come in.
Yay, love it. And yeah, Kimberly, you're off mute, aren't you? I'm like, are you
there? Hi, I'm here.
Okay, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business and what you do?
All right. Well, I'm Kimberly, and I am in South Carolina. So I'm on the East Coast over here, Hurricane Central. But anyway, my business is Real Connection Ministry, and I help women cultivate a true relationship with Jesus, others, and themselves, and especially helping women to build their own tribe with other women friends and a support with each other. I think a lot of women lose track with that as their kids get older. So
Yeah.
that's what I do.
I love that. I love that. That's very true. Awesome. Okay. And so if I'm saying this wrong, Lejean?
That's perfect. Yeah, that's
Ah,
right.
I was like, I feel like it might be how you say it, but I want to make sure. So correct me if I'm wrong, but why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
Yeah, sure. So, I Broken Beautiful is my business, and it's we're online and we sell like inspirational T-shirts and apparel. I'm just giving people who had some struggles in their past to be able to tell their stories and in a meaningful, inspiring way for others. Like my heart is especially for the incarcerated and reentry families. So that's an arm that we're trying to build out. But I joined today because I think I officially joined the society like in June. My sister actually got engaged in March, and so I haven't really been doing much with my business. So she's getting married in October, so that comes first. And I can always build my business. So I was like, I need to get serious. So I'm glad you're having this call today.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. My sister got married in August. It's a whole thing.
Oh, awesome. You know the struggle, the maid of honor struggles. So yeah.
Yes,
Thanks for
it's
having
very
this.
yeah, so thanks for hopping on today. And I know Laura, you just joined us. I was saying that there's not enough of us to technically do a breakout session today, but there's also going to be a potential shift in schedule because my kids are going back to school next week. So with that in mind, I was going to do a poll with everybody just so that you guys can get an opportunity to give some input as to what you'd like to see. But I also noticed that on our 4 o'clock call that we did last week, there were a lot more people. So I'm trying to see if afternoon actually ends up working better so that we can have an official breakout session where there can be 2 or 3 of you guys in a particular virtual room to kind of get to know each other a little bit better. So we're just going to kind of, I guess, practice some of that today and maybe go over some stuff to help you guys. So why don't you tell everybody what you do and who you are?
Sure. So, hey, everybody. I'm Laura McDowell Creative. So I do graphic design for solo female business owners, mostly online business owners. My whole sort of thing is like my experience is really around working with small businesses and solo business owners and helping them, make the most of their time. And so I kind of work with the people that are at that point where they've tried to do a lot of the things on their own and they're finally like, my time is money and I need to have somebody do this for me. So I totally support the DIY designer and I try to help provide tips and tricks and templates and things like that, but I also do done for you services as well. So so I'm just super open to collaborating with other business owners and seeing where, our services can interconnect and we can kind of serve our clients together. And I love educating people and, meeting new people and all that good stuff. So excited to see, where these kind of breakout sessions may go.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think it'll be a fun opportunity for everyone to get a chance to know each other. And I had a few topics or like questions, and what I'll do is, each time we do one of these is be able to get more people on the call. Sometimes it's kind of like, okay, we've introduced ourselves, now what? And so I'll try to make sure that there are some extra, questions or kind of prompts and stuff just to kind of help you guys get started. And so I think today we can kind of go through maybe a couple of those just to break the ice and get to know each other and see if there's some opportunity for that. And then of course, once I get that board put together for you guys, I'll drop that into the group, and then maybe we can also get a few other people to add in and not feel so shy about it. So why don't we start with diving into a little bit of what day-to-day stress might be keeping you stuck. right now? So if you guys had to answer that question, because I think it's a good thing to break into and get to know each other. We got to be a little bit vulnerable, right, in order for the community to be able to see how we can help each other and where we might be able to support each other. So Heather, I'll let you start back off and put you in the hot seat.
Like, where do I start? Stress of just trying to build, I mean, so the different platforms, if you don't have a huge following, like right now, I'm trying to build my email list. So trying to get people to actually click on the lead magnet and actually give me the email address. And I've got all the segments and all the emails set up. I'm ready to go. It's just finding the people. So trying to play with the website and make sure that it's really enticing and playing with the wording. And it is all stressful. It's all crazy.
It is. So are you feeling like it's more of trying to get the lead magnet out there to the people to get those people on, or how are you showing up, or where are you putting it at this point?
Well, I've got an ad running on Facebook and Instagram. I've been posting about it. I've been talking about it in my VIP Facebook group, emailing out to those that are already on my list to ask them to share. And I just feel like I'm throwing spaghetti everywhere that I can.
Utilizing Pinterest at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Pinterest is new for me. I've just started with the tribes, and that's a whole thing in itself. And trying to get used to how to post and how to use that. Like I said, I just feel like I'm just throwing a ton of spaghetti and trying to keep it all organized, and which is my thing. I love to be really, really super organized. So when things are not super organized, or it just doesn't feel like it's flowing, I'm like, oh, I don't know, here we go. So, hi, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn. Thanks for chiming in. There weren't quite enough people to do a breakout session, so we were just going to kind of do a breakout session together. What I was letting everybody else know is that we have a couple of questions that I was going to prompt you guys with anyway, just to help start conversation. So we're just going to use a couple of those and have some time to chat and let everyone kind of chime in. I think there's power within the community. So Heather was just talking about the first question, and that was, what day-to-day stress is keeping you stuck? And so for her right now, it's the opt-in. It's feeling like you're putting everything everywhere and trying to see what's working, and it doesn't feel like anything's working yet. And so I would be open to seeing what you guys think. Is anyone else feeling the same way? Does anyone have maybe any solutions or support they could offer Heather?
Well, I'll chime in and say I also feel the same way. So it's like the clients that I get are not coming from where I feel is scalable so much. So it's I am trying to figure out how to grow my list. I totally get the whole concept of we don't own Instagram, we don't own Facebook. We want to have that list of people that, we own, we technically, there are people. And yeah, so I also have a day job. So that's probably my biggest stress is that job is stressful. And then I just really want to be spending time in my own business. It's I want to grow this thing so that I eventually have the option to leave my day job, and focus on this alone. But yeah, it's and I kind of had this almost mini breakthrough last night. I'm part of this designer boot camp right now where it's about building your design business and streamlining it and everything. And I feel one of my struggles is attracting people at that point between before they get to the point where they're I need a designer. Because from my perspective, and I am a designer, so it's different, but I'm picturing myself as not a designer, but a business owner. I'm not going to follow a graphic designer on Instagram. I'm not going to get on my list. I don't need your content. I don't need to read your blog. When I need a graphic designer, I'm going to be friends, I need a graphic designer. Who knows somebody? And I'm going to maybe chat with a few people and pick somebody. So I'm do I just focus on the DIYer to start and keep pushing out Canva templates and freebie tips and tricks and things like that, and then sort of guide them toward, hey, how awesome would it be to have this done for you? You deserve it. Your time is money, blah, 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 blah. But it's You know, like what I'm saying, like I feel like these traditional things, and I feel like we're all special, right? Like, oh, these aren't going to work for me. But it's like I'm starting to say to myself, like, if I wasn't what I am, like, I wouldn't be following other designers on that wouldn't be of interest to me most likely as a business owner, like doing my own thing. So yes.
So question, are you like, what do your people do? Are they bloggers? Are you targeting bloggers or?
No, not specifically bloggers. My target it's still kind of broad. I'd like to narrow it a little bit more, but it is really like the solo female business owner, online business, generally speaking. So a lot of people are looking for like digital products. Like they want like the workbooks, the ebook stuff design that they can almost use as like their own lead magnet or their own like product that they sell, or like social media graphics and things like that. So because I embrace Canva as a tool for people, a lot of graphic designers are like very negative about Canva. I find like they think of it as like this fake shortcut, it steals our business and all that. But from my perspective, I'm like, I'm happy to help you with that. Like I'll create templates. You'll be able to do some stuff for yourself in the future. You can make your own edits. Like I'm all about it, like marrying the different types of technology to give people what they need. So, but yeah, so it's still kind of broad, but it's generally speaking like that woman running her own business, like she's done all the things. And now she's like at that point where she's just like, I'm ready to pay people to do the things that I can't do.
Have you jumped on Pinterest and done and looked at the tribes? Because there are specific DIY solopreneur tribes that specifically are gals that are looking for that. So you could put your pins in there and they share it all out, and you might be able to cast your net a little bit wider with half the effort.
I'll have to look. I honestly, like I have done some Pinterest, but like very, like my blog is not like very built out right now. So that's another thing is like doing the blog and the freebies and then getting more intentional. But that's it. It's like, I want to make sure
you don't have to do just blogs.
Yeah.
You know, it's so product centric right now. Yeah. And so just pin your freebie like crazy. Pin your products like crazy.
Yeah. The tribes thing is not something I've done. Like, is that through Tailwind, right?
Tailwind.
Yeah, I haven't done Tailwind. I've done only manual pinning. So that'll be something I can look into.
It might help with you being so busy. The Tailwind allows you to schedule your pins out like 15, 20 days.
Yeah.
And you can base, and then there's these, I still haven't figured out yet, which Crystal, I would love for you to do let's do a Tailwind together and do the smart loop things. Oh my God. I need help there. But a way to the smart loops repin your stuff strategically.
Okay.
And it becomes kind of evergreen over time.
Yeah.
So
I know. It's like I just need to put like it's like I kind of just need to like pause and like I feel like
it's just one more thing to do. So if you're leaning into Instagram, lean into Instagram. The other thing is I just found out from a pin expert. She tested out whether or not Tailwinds were effective, and she said there was no difference. And I've looked at my analytics. You get those weekly reports. I really don't see that much. So I'm going to take a break from Tailwind tribes. And I even had that power up where you got so many tribes. I'm going to let go of that and see what happens with the tribes. But that's just like, don't lean into Pinterest if that's one more thing to add stress to your life. Yeah. So I'm that business owner I'm your target audience. More so like maybe a year ago than I am now, because I was the solopreneur who wanted to get an online business going, couldn't afford to outsource, and I still don't. Like, I still cringe. Like, I want to DIY. I want to understand what it is I'm trying to do, but I also want to DIY as much as possible. But I don't want to go and try to figure it out completely on my own. I want someone to make it easy for me. So that's where you come in. And the places that I looked for were the mastermind groups that I was in. So the small little groups that I was in, because we give each other referrals, but also, sorry, one second. He's vacuuming up the mess. It's my birthday. I have to show you guys one thing before we leave. my birthday present. So it was the Facebook groups, like blogging 101. You get people recommending good people, and then you get tagged. It's small. You might want to look inside your area too. Like my local area, we get more referrals from that than we do in the larger like Facebook groups. But I do actually follow, like I followed Ivy Mix. I follow those other people on Instagram that like you, because I see what you're creating, and that gets me, you know, that shows me like, okay, I can afford this. I can, this is something that I could use for my business.
Right.
So I would still follow that avenue if you're on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've gotten a lot more comfortable with Instagram. I do want to start like batching content is something I'm just terrible at. So that's like another thing that I really know. If I could get myself like into like batching content, my life would be a lot easier too. But I haven't like sat down and just like mapped that stuff out. So yeah.
No, I think that I think it's simplifying. I feel like we put a ton of training out there around Instagram. We've done some stuff on Pinterest. There's a lot of things within the membership itself. But really when it comes down to it, finding one thing you feel comfortable with and like beating it with a hammer is the best place to be. And I say that truly because I started with just Instagram, and it wasn't about growing the number of followers, so to speak, so much as it was finding the right people. And so for me in photography especially, it's similar to design. You know, there's a sweet spot between the person who's trying to still do their own photography and then the person who's ready to outsource it. And, you know, photography equally is not a cheap thing to do. It's not a cheap thing to run a business in that way. And so my pricing tends to be higher than that. So it was like, how do you find that sweet spot? So for me, it was the educational piece. So I think for you, it could be that similar thing, because then you're leading those people into it. So I finally just decided, I was like, okay, you know what, whatever. If I'm going to attract some photographers, that's fine, but I'm going to make sure that my language is speaking to the business owner and not the designers or the photographers or whoever else is out there. So I started talking to them and was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to walk you through my day and show you what I'm doing. And you got a question about lighting? Okay, sure. This is the light that I'm using. Here's what you can do. They're not going to buy it. It's a $200 and something light. You know, they're not going to do that, but it pulls them in, it gets them interested, and it gets them to see and positions you as an expert. And then you're like, you know, Lynn was saying, providing the value to those who still want to do it themselves. And they're like, oh yeah, I know, I love these tips and things like that. It's really helpful. It's really supportive. But if anything, it's led me to a point now where Instagram's just an automatic lead. I don't have 20,000 followers, but I get 3 or 4 leads from that every single week. And it's because I've positioned myself as this expert. So people who are either doing it themselves or referring people who can't, or they're fed up and they're like, you know what, I'm doing it myself. I'm doing all the things. I know you know what you're doing, but your photos are coming out the way I want mine to. So I'm just going to hire you to do it anyway. And so it starts being.
Yeah. And that I love that whole, like I said, I love the education side. I do a lot of education with my day job. Like we serve small business owners, but like my side of it's really around education and teaching people. Mm-hmm. How are those people getting to your Instagram? Like that's like, cause I do, like you just said, you attract, like some of your followers are photographers, and that's it too. It's like, I'll get people that will DM me that are designers and be like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, it is cool. But like, we're not customers of each other's. And I'm not against like relationship building and friends and all that. Like, that's awesome. Obviously, like you want to try to hone in on like what's gonna, so like I think that's it. It's like, how do you get, like, you're finding people finding you on Instagram just by, is it like hashtags and all that kind of stuff? Like, is that really like?
It's a combination. So when I get into, because I do phone consults with all of the people that I work with. So when I get into talking to them initially, we'll ask them. And a lot of them, it's through hashtags, and it's also through the fact that I've optimized my profile. So the basic things that we talked about with changing your user, not your user name, but your actual name on your profile, so that when you're searched, there's product photographer in there, there's styling in there. And then when I go through and do my keywords, it's the same thing. I do things around, you know, styling, product photography, brand photography, you know, all of the buzzwords that are right around those kinds of things, and post that and use that. So they find me through the hashtags, and then they use, you know, the optimization through that when they're going through and just typing in to search for something, and pull me up from that. And then funny enough, a lot of the photographers who follow me will refer people to me all the time, because I've become, what's known for them. And they're like, oh yeah, I would love to do that for you. But you know what, if you really want to hire Crystal to do that, and they'll refer people to me, and it's become, the wildest thing. And that's what it's hopefully what you want to have in your business, right? You want to have those other people going, oh yeah, I can totally do this, but you're looking for this particular style, and this person's going to be that person for that. And so that's kind of how I've set it up. It's just optimized it for that. But I also found for myself, speaking to one specific person, but also one specific part of the topic. So when people say to niche down or niche or whatever, I don't think it's necessarily so much as what you offer, so much as it's how you're talking. So for me, I talk about the styling. Everyone can do product photography. You can search product photographers and find tons of them everywhere. What makes me different everybody else and pulls everybody into me is the styling aspect, because no one's talking about styling. Oh, sorry, I got a little person. Yes.
I can't find my pencil for my work to write.
Okay. Well, Mom's got like 5,000 pencils. Here you go.
Oh, yeah, Patrick's here?
Yes, it is. Mom life, guys. But yeah, so it just, for me, it was finding and researching the thing that people weren't talking about in my area. And that's what I considered to be my niche. It was that I'm offering the photography, I'm offering the branded videos, I'm doing all of the things that every other photographer's doing. It was just what I was talking about that I wanted to be different. And then it niched me, so to speak, in a specific area. So yeah, I do product photography. It doesn't mean I shy away from personal branding. That still happens, that still comes, and I love it. It doesn't mean that I don't now, do stop motions and things like that. I do those things. They're kind of add-ons behind the scene that kind of sweeten the deal when I'm looking to work with someone long-term. It's those kinds of things. So to me, whenever one talks about those kinds of things, I'm like, I don't look at it as I'm going to shift my services or I'm going to narrow down my business. I just start looking for what I can do that's different, because that's what makes the biggest change. It's what makes the biggest change in your freebie. I had a freebie that was just, camera basics. And then I had one that was like completely skipping the name because it's been out there for so long. It was like the 6 things you're doing wrong in your images or something like that. And it was slightly kind of graphic related in a way, because, images and graphics can marry, together very easily with those things. And so it was kind of like, 6 things you're doing wrong. And it was like the way that people were creating their graphics, or adding too much text and then having a really busy photo, and, just simple things like that sometimes people just don't grasp initially when you're doing your own design and your own graphics on social media. And so I put that out there. And it did well. It still does well. It sells people all the time. But what made a huge difference was when I started looking on Pinterest, and I realized that people were talking about camera stuff. They were talking about, DIY your photography. They were talking about DIY your products and, all of those kinds of things. And those were the kinds of words that were out there. But the words that were not out there were styling. No one was talking about that. No one says how to style your photo, how to do a flat lay. You could search that all day, go through thousands of pins of it, but no one said how to style your flat lay. And so there was my corner. And so when I put a freebie out there that was about styling, I ended up with 64 people in one day, because it's not out there. But I tagged it and buzzed it to some of the flat lay words and things like that, so that it would still pull up, because then people are like, oh yeah, how to do a flat lay, how to do a flat lay. Oh, how to style one. Okay, click. Because that was the true problem. So sometimes it's going back to your opt-in and not realizing that you need to redo it or make another one or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's just that one evening you sit there and you scroll through and you start asking yourself, what are they not talking about that I do that can give me that corner that's just for me? And so that's my piece of advice, I think, to you and Heather, is looking at that, but then also not feeling like you have to use something like Tailwind. I didn't use Tailwind for the longest time, only until like the last year, just for the automation part. It was just the part of setting it up and scheduling it. And that way I didn't have to think about it in case I didn't get on Pinterest. It's how many pins you're pinning on every single day that starts to getting it to show up. Group boards to me are more effective than the tribes. So joining boards where there are multiple people on there and someone's like managing or controlling that board was more effective to me than using the tribes. I also post occasionally, and some of them have started to do well because I've got enough followers now. So as you build your account, I think then Tribes becomes very beneficial to you. But when you're starting off, it's just pinning stuff that's relative, and just how often, how many you're pinning. And so I literally will just sit there in the evening and my husband's like, you're like stuck to your Pinterest. And it's because I'm going through there and like just pinning stuff and just adding, you know, pins and things like that, or adding myself to other people's boards or sending them a request to do that, because I found that to be a more efficient way of building Pinterest and getting it out there. So I don't know if that was helpful, but
Yeah.
but that would be my 2 cents, because that's what I have found. And again, through trial and error and running my own business, and what has taken off and what has not. And that's just the case. A lot of it is just the wording and just finding like the couple of keywords that don't feel like the same thing that's out there over and over and over again, and repositioning that. And it does take a little bit of thought. So for me, it was like I literally took a notebook and just started writing down all the words that I was seeing. And then I stopped. And then the next day when I went into the studio, it was, okay, let's make note of like the things that I'm doing and like what people are telling me. And I took styling just from everybody else's words. It was, oh, I love the way you style that. Oh, I love the way you style this. Or can you style my photo shoot? And it was just pulling that word because that was the word people started spitting back to me. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think that that's what it would be. And now I leverage that so hard, I don't have to do anything else to my Instagram because people just see that and they come right on in. And so that's how it then starts to work for you. And then I'm able to shift to things like, okay, let's grow a little bit on Pinterest. And so that's where I'm focusing right now, is growing on Pinterest and exceeding, you know, where I'm at right now. So anybody else want to put any input on any day-to-day stress that's keeping you stuck that we could help each other with? Kimberly, you're awfully quiet over there.
Well, I guess what you call the messy middle. And my stress is I'm currently setting up email sequence because I've already created the products, and thanks to Laura, they look awesome. So if you need a designer, she was amazing to work with. And so I have 4 digital products. But I'm trying to get the email sequence. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Okay, well, you want to have on your email sequence your Facebook page. Okay, so I got to go do some work on my Facebook page and have that ready to go. So that'll be on in the email sequence. So it's just trying not to feel overwhelmed, because when you look at the big picture, there's so much to do. And you got to focus on one thing at a time. I don't even care about Pinterest and Instagram right now. Don't talk to me about that because I couldn't even handle that. So I'm just trying to get through the email sequence right now.
Okay. So it sounds like showing up is going to be better than trying to show up perfectly. You're trying to do.
And I'm a perfectionist. I want everything in place, ready to go, looking good before.
Yeah. No, I 100% get it. I 100% get it. I heard it, and then I heard myself 2 years ago. Heck, I heard myself like yesterday. If I'm going to be honest, what I get stuck on is the visuals. Oh, well, I've got to have like the perfect photo for that. Like, there's no way I'm posting that out there until there's a photo for that. So,
Right.
you know, it's the same thing. We all have our kind of wanting everything to be as perfect. We want to show up that way. But it sounds like creating the emails without the links is going to be fine. And you've got to be okay with that, because you just need to get that email out there. Those people need to hear from you. They need to see you showing up versus seeing you showing up 110% perfect. Because by the time you get to that point, they're going to already be bored or gone.
Right.
Because they're not waiting for you. They're waiting for you to tell them something. They're waiting for you to give them what they're there for, not waiting for it to be perfect. And so you're letting potential people just pass by because you're not doing your email sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So my challenge to you would be to forget about the social links, forget about all the bells and whistles, and just write the emails. And then come back later and add those things. Once
Add
your
those.
emails are done, then make that your celebration to get to now move on and create a Facebook page, get all that stuff set up, get visuals going, look at some photos and graphics that you can add. You can always edit your sequence. So you can go back into your sequence, edit it, add those links, add those photos, add the things that you want to have there to pretty it up, and then let it go. But first, you've got to get the content out there so that you're not missing out on an opportunity to reach people and connect with them and let them know that what you're offering in your community. So.
Yes, I hear you. Okay. I'm on that.
I'm going to challenge you to that. I want you to do that. I want you to
Let go of the
put the
perfectionist.
blinders on.
Got it. I'm going to write that down.
Write the things. Write the things. Because and it's easy to do that. I do that all the time. I do that sometimes in trying not to pull my visuals over. I was writing an email for the society and I'm sending you guys an email and I'm like, why am I trying to put photos in here? Like, you guys just need the content. You just need to know that the call's happening tomorrow, and that's it. And that's all people want is just the reminder. So I don't need to have a photo in there. Like, let's do this.
Right.
Yes, Laura said done is better than perfect. And it is, it's hard. It's we all want to, as business owners, it's that high level of control, and we want to show up a certain way. We want to be a certain way. And it's hard to kind of let go of that. So I get it. But
Yeah.
I want to challenge you with that. I want to see you do that and get it done and then go back and do all the pretty stuff.
All right. I got it. Mission accepted.
Oh, that's perfect. Laura says she has a mini workbook template and a Canva keyboard shortcuts guide as her current opt-in, geared towards the DIYers. Oh, I like that. Those are good. So tell, you have a Canva keyboard shortcuts, that would be helpful too. I like that. Laura, do you want to elaborate or do you need some help?
Sorry, I was, I think Lynn asked what my opt-ins were, so I was replying to that question. Yeah.
So when you say mini workbook template, what is that?
So it's basically like a workbook template that has like a variety of different types of pages in it. So there's like a cover page, there's a welcome page, there's a content page, like a goal setting, sort of like fill in the blanks type of page. So it's designed for a business owner to create their own like freebie, like lead magnet with their content to then like give to, it's kind of like a DIY lead magnet. It's like meta. So you get it from me, you open it in Canva and you customize it and pop your content in. So I sell larger workbooks, workbook templates in my template shop. So this is like a mini version of one of those. So it's like geared towards the DIYer who's like, oh yeah, I need like a new template to like get some stuff in and get out to my audience quickly. And then the other thing is just a keyboard shortcuts. I was starting to see people post a lot about keyboard shortcuts on Instagram. So I just went and like whipped up like a 2-sheeter that's just like got a bunch of them all listed out to sort of like help people that didn't realize a lot of the keyboard shortcuts you can use in other systems are usable in Canva, and it just can make your workflow quicker. So yeah, I didn't do any like real research around whether people wanted it, which is probably my problem. But I thought if you're really into the DIY, this is a great way to like speed up your workflow. So
yeah, no, I'm thinking in my head, like if you're needing to get it out there a little bit more and you want to do that easily on Pinterest, make 10 different graphics for that one workbook template that speaks to each person. Speak to the business coach that needs that particular lead magnet, speak to the photographer who wants to create a welcome guide for their clients. Maybe that's something that they could use. Speak to that person. So maybe thinking of like 5 to 10 different ideas that you could get real specific on, and then just create a pin graphic for it. And then like Lynn was saying, just link it straight to that freebie and put that out there on Pinterest. That way you're not too worried or stuck on the fact that you haven't had a chance to blog as much, but you can still get it out there. Or link it to an old blog. Pinterest doesn't mind if the links are still there. What they want is new graphics. So if you've been posting stuff out there, then go in there and add a few more graphics to that, and then just make sure that your lead magnet is embedded towards the top. And then that way you can go in and use that to push out there on Pinterest to get some more exposure on it. Because I see you being specific about that, and then people will see how they can use it and click on it faster.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Are you finding, like, just I guess for the whole group, if you guys use Pinterest, are you finding like a lead magnet on its own is like converts with Pinterest? Like people aren't like, oh, I'm not just gonna give this random person my email address. They're just like, yeah, I want that freebie. Let me just get it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, everyone else can and chime in as well. But yeah, I think that it's just making it compelling, instead of just slapping it on there, it's taking the opportunity to use that landing page, whether you've got ConvertKit or Flowdesk or MailChimp or whatever you're using, use that landing page that they have and set up. So when I go through and I create a new freebie, I create the embed version for the blog. I create the pop-up version in case I want to annoy people. And then I create the actual landing page, and the landing page is just for that additional boost if something isn't performing as well as I think it could, and then just explaining it on there and making it nice and pretty, and then having that space on there. But a lot of times if I'm wanting to get straight to something, because I'm the kind of person who's probably your ideal client, like I outsource those things. I don't have time for that. I'm doing photo shoots and doing other things. I don't do that. So if I'm looking for somebody and they're offering me something and I know I could take a template real quick, pop something in and be able to spit it out, I'm going to want to go straight to the source. I don't want to go to a blog. I'm not going to DIY it. I feel like the blog is more for that purpose, whereas you might be capturing some of the people who are more of your ideal client by putting it out there and just giving them a straight solution.
Right. And I actually have like landing pages for both of those freebies already because I have them linked on Instagram. Like I drive my Instagram link tree basically goes to the landing pages. So yeah, okay, cool. So I'll just set up.
I would just do that. I would just get specific with like, 5 or 10 examples that you could use to kind of put it out there, because then you can also test to see what works, because you said you wanted to narrow down that ideal client.
Yeah.
So then you can start to see, are the business coaches clicking on this more? Are, these people clicking on this more? Who's clicking on it the most based on that particular one? And that might also help you kind of shift some of your focus, because if you see that, just for lack of example, a business coach is clicking on your template more, then it may be time to go look at your other freebie and say, 10 keyboard shortcuts for the business coach to start working.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. A light bulb just went off, like the idea of creating the pin that speaks to the specific person.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So one more thing that from my pins, what I found people really like is when I do a how to create. So for mine, I do done for you content. So done for you blog post is an example. How to create a blog post in 30 minutes or less, or create the perfect blog post in 30 minutes or less. Because when I'm going out and looking for those tools to help me make my business easier, something that saves me time. How do I save my time? So it links to my product or my freebie, but in the description, I say one of the quickest ways to create the perfect blog post is with pre-written content, done for you content. And then they read that and they're like, okay, I want to sign up for this. So that's maybe something that you want to, in addition to, and I do that like specific to, so I have one pin that says for wellness coaches, another pin that says health. It's the same pin. I'm just changing wellness coach, health coach, fitness coach. And Then I have boards specific on my Pinterest account. So there's board specific to personal trainers, specific to health coach, so that you're saving your pins to there as well. And I have people that follow those boards. So that's something to think about too.
Okay. Yeah. I really appreciate, I know this probably seems like common, like knowledge to you guys, but that is just, it's really just like opened up my brain in like a totally different way. Because right now I have Pinterest, but I have it broken into more like marketing and graphic specific topics. It's not geared towards specific types of people or like professions or whatever. So that's awesome. I can totally see how that would be potentially more effective than being more broad. So I very much appreciate you talking through all that.
No, I think it's
people centric. It's more people centric,
Yeah. And I think it's good for everybody to hear, because it's a good way of testing the market without having to test the market, so to speak. Sometimes people are like, oh, do surveys and things like that. And you're like, oh, I don't really want to like just survey people. I use those things as a survey in my business. I go look and see what boards have the most follows and what people are actually interested in. And then I focus even harder in those areas and scale back on the things that aren't working. So sometimes it's just taking a chance to set that up. So, maybe Laura, for you, it's kind of like over the next week, maybe you can hop on the accountability thread and say, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on either your pins or maybe just revamping your board just a little bit. Pick the thing that you want to focus on and then break it down from there so that you also don't get yourself stuck going, oh my God, okay, now I know I need to do all 10 of these things. Because that's where you're going to go next. So don't do that.
That made me think of something about testing, using Pinterest boards to test out, what you might actually, if you divide up your audience into those different categories and you find that one is resonating more with you, then that might be the one that that's the one you lean into. You might find the other stuff doesn't really match what you're offering.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
Yep. Those ideas start to spider off in that direction. Heather, do you have any input?
I'm absorbing. This is great. Great ideas.
Are you feeling any of this?
My mind's swirling as, oh, I could do a pin for that. Oh, I could do a pin for that. So it's just, again, I'm just absorbing.
Good. Okay. Does anybody else have a day-to-day stress that they want to talk about or lean into a little bit? No?
Just all the time it takes. Holy crap. All the time it takes. And there's so many things. It's just, there's like I actually have everything out on Trello. So I have my focus for the week. I have every single day I break down into, if I only have this much time to do one thing, what is that one thing? And then I have my top 3 priorities. And then I have my daily to-dos, and then I have my week focus. If I have time to do anything, this is what I'm going to do for focus on. And I have that for every single day. It's a lot. And sometimes I don't even get to that one thing that I need to get done. But yeah, it's so just trying to be cognizant of where my time is going. So I've actually started using Toggle Track to see where things are going, and just trying to remind myself, like, focus on that one thing that is actually going to result in money for my business in the short term and the long term. But it's really hard. Like, even just now I'm trying to lean into Instagram. I'm spending an hour and a half a day on that. And that's like, whether I post or whether I don't post that day, it's an hour and a half. Like, how long is that going to have to be before I can like dial it back a little bit? Like, can you give some insight on that, Crystal?
Yeah, so first off, with the schedule thing, we're all there. I can just show you my to-do list and you'd be like, oh my God. Because it just, sometimes it feels like it's a rolling thing. And I'm like transferring the same tasks. But you know what I start to do? Whenever I get that way and I hit the point of the overwhelm, because you're like, I didn't get the one thing done that I used to get done. I look at the to-dos that are on there and I ask myself that question: what are the actual money-making activities? The client work that needs to happen, the blog post that needs to go up, those kinds of things. But even still, the blog post that needs to go up, that versus the editing, or that versus the content for, our coaching call, or, things like that are coming up, and weighing those options and reminding myself that I feel like I need to show up everywhere. But I've got 100 and something blogs that are working constantly on Pinterest right now. They're being pinned, they're being repinned, whatever. That's happening. My Instagram, there's some posts out there. That's happening. What needs to be focused on is what I can get done right now. So giving yourself that space to realize that some of those to-dos are the pressures that we're putting on ourselves, but aren't necessarily the things that people need to see. They're seeing us. We're there. We're showing up. Whether it's a quick behind the scenes selfie of yourself sitting at your desk going, I can't get anything done today, but that's okay, because here I am and I'm showing up, and that's fine. Or, taking a chance to just show like, hey, I'm working on these things real fast, and that's your one thing to show up on Instagram. Perfect. Doesn't mean you need to sit there for an hour. There are some days where I feel like I did not show up at all, and that's fine, because I'm still getting leads. I'm still getting people. They're still seeing me. But what I do is I stop worrying about spending the time in the app and start spending the time on the scheduling. And then I show up a little less on the app, because for me, I can get easily sucked into it, especially when people are like, oh, I love this, or, oh, they're wanting to have conversations and stuff like that. And I've started reminding myself that they're still going to read the response, even if the response isn't right then. Right? It's like when your kids come to you and they want a snack and you're like, okay, you can wait till lunch. You can wait till lunch. It's the same thing that you're telling these people. You can wait until I'm ready to reply. It's going to be okay. Don't feel like you have to spend all that time there. Focus on maybe spending the time just planning out the content and stuff so that you're showing up on that platform. And then the days that you have that you can show up and you can be in the stories and you can do all the things, you're going to do it and they're going to love it and they're going to absorb it. And then the days that you're not, you know, you've got a couple of things that are scheduled and that's going to be okay. But you've got to let go of that and just realize too that if spending all the time in the app is what's absorbing your time, then get away from that. Plan your things, have your stuff scheduled to post, and step back and focus on the things that you know need to get done to grow your business. Because this interaction is going to be great and it's going to be a good social aspect. But at the end of the day, if you're not doing the other things and taking care of the clients and stuff behind the scenes, you're going to stress yourself to death and your business isn't going to grow because the people who are working with you right now aren't going to be happy. Right? So that's just how I try to do it, because I do sometimes the same thing. There's some days where I'm just like, I am not on Instagram. It's just not happening. And later I'll sit down and I'll go and I'll answer, you know, a few people who have commented on something. And there may be a day that goes by where I'm like, I didn't post a single story. But you know what? Those people are still there the next day when I'm like, whoo, got makeup on, I'm showing up and I'm, you know, there all day. So that'd be my advice to you, is just to schedule the stuff, but then take your phone and literally, I have to like go set my phone in another room sometimes because I'll get the dings and the notifications. And that way I'm like, okay, not doing that right now. I'm not doing that because I've got too many things that do need to get done. So
I struggle because I'm a list follower, and like I even took a screenshot of it was the 6 things you should be doing, and I'm thinking in my head, but Crystal challenged me to do this. I got to do this. So I'm focusing on that stuff when I know I should be focusing on other things too. But yeah, you're right. I need to put Crystal's voice out of my head saying she challenged me to do this.
I am. You know, it's a good accountability thing. And that's the whole thing with the accountability thread and why I'm like, do that. Because look at the money making activities and pick like the one thing that you want to focus on, and then let that be the voice. Like, know that I'm going to show up and I'm going to be like, okay, where are you on this? Because that's the important piece. If it's the little things like, okay, I've got some extra time in my schedule today and I know that I can do a few things, now I'm going to work on that. But I'm not going to be like, oh my God, you did not post an Instagram story today. Like, I'm not going to hunt you down if you've got other stuff that you've got to do. So pick what you want your focus to be, and then let me challenge you to get that done, because that's going to be the thing that moves it along. That's the thing that's going to make your clients happy. That's the thing that's going to grow your business. Right.
So I think to take it further, so I think everything I'm doing will lead to money, but I know it's not. So also, how do you filter and how do you prioritize? Like, what do you use to figure out, okay, this is going to get me the best ROI. This is what I should be focusing on now. Like,
so for me, it is the direct money makers. Everything social, Pinterest, everything else is indirect, right? You've got, or you will get to a point where you'll have referrals and other things that are going on. And as your business grows, you'll start to realize that those things are indirect. Pinterest is great. There was a week I didn't post a blog at all. And I didn't even realize it until that following week. And I was like, oh, whoops. My business was still growing. There were still clients coming in. There were still things that were happening. So it's what is the direct benefit to my business at the current moment. And I even get as specific as my pocketbook at that moment. For me, sometimes that means it's the client work. That's why there are some days where I don't show up on Instagram, and I've just become okay with that because I've got a huge project with a massive client that is expecting me to show up. And I'd rather show up for that person who's putting the money directly in my pocket right now than to show up on Instagram for the 5 or 6 people who might be interested in seeing me. My things are there. My profile is set up. If they're interested, they're going to reach out regardless. But if they're expecting me to show up for entertainment purposes, I'm not there today. That's not what I'm doing. So to me, it's what are the top 3 things right now that are feeding straight into my pocketbook. Pinterest isn't feeding straight into my pocketbook. It's feeding into a lead magnet. It's going into emails. It's going to get me something maybe down the road. So to me, that's not a priority. And some people, will say, oh, no, you should be doing, your social media. That's just not how I work. I literally have a custom planner that I did that I had built out and have right here in this solid block. It's the main focus is priority, and then my money making activities. And so for me, it's what are those three things that are going straight into my pocket that day? Whether it's finishing a gallery so I can build a client for the invoice, or it's, setting up, content that's going into a course that's going on sale in a couple of weeks, or, whatever that case may be, figuring out those things that are going to put that money directly into my pocketbook, because sometimes that doesn't mean showing up on social media. And so that's why I don't always show up. And I've come more and more okay with that. The bigger your business grows and the more you start to realize that it's okay to do that, because there are people who have multi-six-figure businesses that I'm friends with, and they barely show up on social media at all. They've built other funnels and things like that. So for some of you, you might find that your business isn't going to grow as much because of social media. Having that presence there is great. Being there is great. But other things might be leading to your overall success. It could be the referrals. Like you said, it could be the local connections. It could be the collaborations that you set up. There are several collaborations that I have set up that I've done with different people and different designers that technically, if I didn't want to show up on Instagram anymore, my business isn't going anywhere. Those referrals and things are set up. Instagram is purely just for new people. And I'm almost at a point where coming this fall, I can't take on any new people. So showing up there is going to be a little less of me showing up there because I need to, and a little more of me showing up there just because I do want to stay connected with the audience.
So I guess something as simple as like putting out a new product versus setting up that giveaway event that I know is going to lead to more leads. Like product, giveaway, which is, it's weighing which is going to actually lead to a quicker route to your pocketbook and a more substantial.
So then I look at time. So I weigh then the time factor is it's the product is going to come, but that's based on you. If no one knows it's out there, create a wait list. But the giveaway is time sensitive. Like, you're supposed to have that going on at a certain period of time, especially if you have other people involved. So then it becomes time centric. So for me, that might look like the coaching call, for example. Like that might look like, okay, I'm doing a coaching call for you guys on collaboration, and we're going to go over XYZ details. That's time sensitive because I have a time set for you guys that we're doing those things. So that will come as a priority, and then the other things will come then around it. So that's why I have a list of the three top things that are that priority, because it's the time centric piece that's feeding into my pocketbook. It's the client part that's feeding into my pocketbook, and then what additional money making activities do I need to do that day? Is there somebody I need to follow up on? Did I do a consult and following up with that person to get them to sign because I've already invested in talking to them is important. So then I'm reaching out to them and I'm following up. Follow up is also one of the number one things that creative businesses lack, by the way. Sales 101. Always follow up. But yeah, so that's where I kind of weigh in. So for you in that case, if it's time sensitive to do that giveaway because you know that you're going to get those leads and those things coming in, then focus on that piece, get that done, get it almost ready to go. Like maybe it's 95%, and then switch back over to the other stuff that you need to finish. And then when that gets closer and it's that day beforehand, then you're doing your last, inch of tasks, following up with people who are involved in the giveaway, making sure everyone's got their posts and stuff ready to go. And then that's happening.
Can I ask if you do a screenshot of that little piece of your planner, or just like what are the questions that you ask yourself to, as you're running through your list, like what are the things to determine what your focus should be?
Yeah, I will. So I have, my planner's, is pretty massive. So I have two sections, basically here, and here. The top is society and membership activities. And then down here is everything photo shoot centric, photo shoot client activities. And so what I do is I list out all the things here in these columns first that I have, like what activities do I need to have? We're having a breakout session. I need to make sure I upload the recording. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, whatever. I go through and I list all of those things out, do the same thing with the clients. Where am I at with client projects? So I need to check in with my editor, where are we on the ETA for this? Did a client owe an invoice, whatever, list all the things here. And then I shift over to my priorities. And I say, okay, what are the top three things? Kind of like what you were saying. What are the top three things that I know I could get done today if I had to? And so I list those things there. And then what goes in the top box as priority is the one that is both time sensitive and direct to the pocketbook. What's time sensitive and direct to the pocketbook. If that means that I am focused on editing that day, then goodbye Instagram and everything else social activities wise until I am done with that, so that I can get my invoice paid, so I can pay myself. Because that's important. You know, if your business isn't making money, if you're not paying yourself, what's the point, right? So that's kind of how I structure it. And I can take a screenshot of that and upload it for you guys too. But yeah, I custom made it because I couldn't find a planner that I liked because of the breakups of them. So I made my own. Sometimes it's what you do. I know we're coming to the top of the hour. Is there any other, questions or feedback or anything that I could give you guys insight, or anything you guys want to share with each other? Kimberly?
I want to know more about Lynn, you talked about doing or being part of a giveaway. I know we kind of chatted about it when we were on our call together. But again, my brain locked up because it was way too much information, but way too fast, way too much. But how do you know that it's legit? Because I tried signing up for a couple of them, and it was just, you could just tell after 10 minutes, like, never mind, y'all are crazy. How do you know they're legit?
For somebody else's giveaway? Like if someone else is wanting to do one and pull you in with it?
Yeah.
I only do stuff like that with people that I know or something that I'm going to run myself. Because people can do it just for the mass exposure. And so sometimes it feels like an SHIT show.
Right.
Because there's just, there's posts and there's people and there's just things going on, and it feels very disorganized. And so that's very frustrating to me. I also don't do giveaways anymore because of that reason. For me, it was always very frustrating because if someone else was putting it on, they didn't show how I think it should be to have it run efficiently. And I know Lynn's nodding her head because I'm like, she's probably got a little bit more of an efficient system. Some of us who have been through it before, there's just certain steps. So I either set it up myself and pull people in to do it, or I just don't do them anymore. And honestly, at this point in my business, I don't do them anymore because it's too much. Or I'll run it myself. I'll do a giveaway with my own things to the audience that I have. So, but otherwise, yeah, it can feel very hectic. And it's usually just because things aren't very clearly defined. So they're not saying, how often we're showing up, what are the parameters in terms of the giveaway, setting the parameters within your service. Sometimes they're like, oh yeah, can you just enlist your membership as part of this giveaway? And it's like, okay, but what are they going to expect from that? Oh, we just want to have it offered, just for them to be able to join your membership. Okay, so are they joining for like a month or a year, or things are just kind of like, and so then that kind of lets you know that it's probably just to get the exposure. They just want you to post about it so it links to everybody else and it's boosting them, but it's not really benefiting the person who's going to get it. Like that's, yeah. So they don't always end up too well unless it's something that you're working with people that and again, I kind of end up facilitating it just to keep it easier. So I know that we're all showing up and doing the thing and it's not like mass hectic.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, you're talking about the larger online giveaways.
Yeah.
The one that I mentioned. Yeah. So I agree with Crystal. I still sign up for as many as I can just to see how they're running them. But steer clear of the ones that are trying to recruit you, and they're all over the place. Like you can tell just from the title of their giveaway and the subtitle, you can see who they're focusing on. If it's like general laptop lifestyle, like what the heck does that mean? If it's the audience is specific to you, what you offer, and that these are your peers that are going to be involved, then yeah, you're going to make out with that. But yeah, there's some out there that are just like, yeah, like Crystal said, they're just trying to get out to the masses and pull from other people's lists, even though it's not going to end up benefiting you. So like the one I'm going to be running is specific to people who serve wellness coaches, and it might not be people who it might be people who serve a broader audience, but they have something that will directly serve my specific audience. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I'm not getting my messaging clear and I'm attracting people that are not going to really be a good fit, then it means to me that I didn't do my job by getting my messaging set straight. But yeah, but it is a fast way to get leads. You just got to find the right ones.
Yeah, that's the
It's
challenge.
easier because then you can be, you know, kind of picky and choosy as to like, okay, I know that these are, you know, some people with some good audiences and stuff. Because I did a creative boss kind of giveaway with a friend of mine, or we did the digital boss earlier in the spring, and didn't work out as well for their benefit, which is fine because their audience was less. So that's something else that you kind of have to look at too, is how much, you know, the people's audiences are, or how big they are. And it's just to say like, okay, what is your contribution? For me, I was like, oh yeah, I'm just doing it because she reached out to me and she does need the help and the pull from my audience to grow her own. And so I was like, okay, sure, we'll do that. That's fine. I'm not expecting to get anything from it. The girl actually ended up never wanting to really do a product photo shoot, which is fine. She wasn't in it for that. She was in it for the other stuff. So sometimes you can, yes, go ahead. Sometimes you can, you know, be in a giveaway and it just be to support somebody else. And that's kind of what those bigger ones are. They're just wanting everybody else's audience. So I would just be intentional about it and maybe reach out to a few of the people that you're interested in. Maybe you can just facilitate one. And if you need, you know, the guidance or help around that, I'm sure Lynn and I can probably chime in and give you some tips to help you set up one, because they can be really beneficial. It's just easier to do it yourself or find a close friend who has done one before. So, is there any other questions or anything else I can help with?
Can I show you one of my birthday gifts? Actually, have your daughter look at it.
Oh, yeah. Come here. She wants to show you something.
Oh no.
Please tell me it's a onesie. Please tell me it's one of those like onesie unicorn outfits.
Oh shoot. That is so perfect.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Those are so big. I'm surprised it fit. Those are huge.
That's awesome.
That's my little laugh for the day.
That's awesome.
Is that gonna like live out in your front yard or like?
The backyard by the pool. Yeah.
Okay.
Backyard.
I was gonna say that wouldn't be allowed in my neighborhood. The HOA would be up. You know,
Right?
oh my gosh, that would not work in my neighborhood.
Yeah, I have an HOA too. I'm like, man, they would have a fit and get them called on me by my neighbors. Okay, well, hopefully this was fun for you guys. I know it wasn't the breakout session that we were thinking it was going to be, but you know, hopefully everyone felt like they got a little bit of something from today.
Yeah, this was really cool. Appreciate it.
Good.
And it was nice to see, like, I see you guys in the Facebook group, but I don't see your faces and whatnot. So it was really nice to meet you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Crystal. I really enjoyed it.
Yay, I'm glad. Well, I will make sure to post up the recording in case you want to go over anything we talked about. And again, I'm happy to help you guys. And a few of you need to be hopping on the accountability thread, not calling any names.
Will do.
Just pick one thing. Just pick one thing. Don't put a lot of pressure on all the things. Just pick the one thing, and we'll see you get some progress and see you move forward on that piece, so you don't get stuck where you are and wish that you did something differently in a week from now. That's the whole point of that. So we'll do that, and then I will post a poll as well. So if you guys get a chance to give me some feedback on schedule shift and maybe looking at some other times and things like that too that might work, so that we can see how that might work out for some of us who are going to have kids or kids potentially getting back into school, which is what's happening for me. So otherwise, I will see you guys in the group. All right. Thanks for showing.
Bye.